Thank you for inviting me to address this August gathering. I'm delighted to be here at Earth again, and I would like to thank Sambad and, of course, our editor, Tanaya Patnaikji, for inviting me. This is a platform not just about token discussions, but about invention, courage, and action. When we say Earth again, we are not just naming a conference. We are making a promise that we will give ourselves another chance. We will give our Earth another chance. We will give humanity another chance. For me, the fight for humans, the fight for the environment, and the fight for animals have never been separate struggles. They are one and the same. When we poison rivers, forests, and soil, we not only destroy habitats, we destroy the foundations of human survival. Climate change is not an abstract issue. It is not something happening in the Arctic or in future centuries. It is in the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, the rains that come unseasonably, the villages that go down to the ground, the islands that we are losing in Sundarbans. It is here, it is now. We often think of climate change as though it was caused by some distant, invisible force. We talk endlessly about carbon dioxide, about cars, factories, chimneys, but the truth is completely different, and it is much worse. The most dangerous gas that is heating the planet is not carbon dioxide. It is methane. And methane does not come from factories, machines. It comes from our plates. Methane is what scientists call a super insulating gas. It is 24 to 28 times, not percent, times, more potent than carbon dioxide in trapping heat. It may account for a smaller share of emissions, but it is exponentially more destructive. While carbon dioxide levels are stabilizing, methane is rising sharply. From small increases of 0.5 parts per billion in 2000, we now see annual jumps of 10 to 12 parts per billion. Today, methane concentrations are the highest ever recorded in human history. Where does this methane come from? Not from cars, not from factories, but from the billions of animals we breed, confine, and kill for meat and dairy. There are only three producers of methane. One is animals, which are grown for meat, one is rice, and one is coal. A single cow produces between 250 to 500 liters of methane per day through her burps, anal gas, and dung. Multiply that by the 1.5 billion cattle on this planet, and then add billions of goats, pigs, sheep, chickens. Add to this the 70 billion animals killed every single year for food. The result is catastrophic. Recent estimates show that the livestock industry alone emits the equivalent of 2.2 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year. What is Orissa's contribution? Your land animals are grown for meat are up to 800 million livestock and poultry. Your fish, 5 billion animals. Your shrimp, 1,496 million, 100,000 tons. Your eggs, 1 billion a year. Your milk production is 72 lakh liters per day, all coming from the same animals that emit methane. And your current government goal is to increase it to 150 lakh liters per day, which is that many more cows and buffaloes. These are the figures for healthy animals. That is the amount of methane they emit. But most livestock in the world and in Orissa are not healthy. They are sick. They are kept in cramped, filthy factory farms, pumped with hormones and antibiotics, riddled with infections, and sick animals emit double the methane. Lambs are infected with gastrointestinal worms. Those lambs that have worms emit 33% more methane per kilogram of feed. Cows with mastitis, which is, as you know, soreness of the udders, emit 8% more methane per kilogram of milk. Chickens and pigs crowded into industrial sheds spread diseases rapidly and go up to 24% increase in emissions, methane emissions. As if this were not enough, factory farming has made it worse. When animals are crammed into industrial sheds, diseased and weak, to keep them alive until slaughter, they are injected with antibiotics. In fact, 80% of the world's antibiotics go to livestock. But antibiotics do more than create resistant superbugs. Research from the universities of America show that tetracycline doubles the methane content, the output of cattle. Antibiotics kill off the bacteria in the stomach and encourage methane-producing microbes. That means an already polluting methane cow now emits twice as much methane. Even its dung produces 50 to 80% more methane than untreated cattle. So while the world debates solar panels and electric cars, the meat and dairy industry quietly doubles its methane output every year. India, China, and Brazil together produce 70% of global methane. Brazil burns the Amazon for cattle ranching. China dominates in pork, chicken, and rice. And India is the largest producer of milk and the largest exporter of meat in the world. Methane is our country's gift to the world. So let us not talk about Europe and carbon dioxide and industrialization when we are responsible for global warming. India, China, Brazil. Here is the vicious circle. The hotter the world gets, the more diseases livestock suffer. The sicker the livestock, the more methane they emit. The more methane they emit, the hotter the world gets. The hotter the world gets, the more diseases. And we go round and round and round like this. A sick planet makes animals sick. Sick animals make the planet sicker. Every cyclone, every drought, every unseasonal flood, these are not acts of God. They are the acts of your appetite. You eat meat in Delhi and a cyclone floods Tamil Nadu. You drink milk in Mumbai and a typhoon devastates the Philippines. Climate change is not abstract. It is in your kitchen. Your rice, your coal to cook, and your meat. I have seen the possibility of global cooperation. I represented India in negotiating the Montreal Protocol, which phased out ozone-depleting substances and was one of the most successful treaties in history. I launched the Eco-Mark scheme so consumers could choose truly sustainable products. We created the Animal Welfare Board of India, regulated zoos, set up SPCAs. Why? Because animals are not an ornament of nature. They are the engineers of nature. They protect forests, pollinate crops, maintain rivers, balance ecosystems. You do not have to choose between development and survival. If development is rooted in sustainability, we can have both. If we are to make Earth livable again, you have to confront methane. Till now, India has been responsible. India, China, and Brazil, but more India, in keeping methane out of every single international negotiation. Every time we go for an international negotiation, we refuse to take part unless methane is off the menu. Why? Because we know we are guilty. So we just keep talking about carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide. The amazing thing is that suppose you and I were to stop living, stop building, stop cars, stop factories, stop houses, even then it would take 120 years for carbon dioxide to decrease by 1%. But if we were to remove methane by just stopping our dependence on meat, coal and rice, within 4 years methane will disappear, just 4 years. And the global warming will stop. We have it in our lifetimes to stop it. But we refuse to acknowledge methane. We refuse to allow the world to blame us. We refuse to accept any responsibility for what we do. If we have to confront methane, one, change diets. You cannot possibly continue to eat meat, eggs, milk, because then you can, no matter how many panchayats you have, no matter how many trees you plant, it makes no difference. The simplest, most immediate action is to reduce and remove meat and dairy. A plant-based diet is the strongest climate policy. Methane lasts only 4 years in the atmosphere. If we stop producing it, warming will halt. End antibiotics in farming. Livestock antibiotics are not just a public health crisis, they are a climate crisis. Governments must regulate and phase them out. Number 3, reform food systems. Stop subsidizing meat and dairy. Invest in pulses, millet, vegetables, plant-based alternatives. Feed people, not livestock. Plant and protect trees. Planting trees is the simple, most visible way to fight climate change. But trees cannot survive if forests are cut for cattle ranching. Today, all the buffalo meat that you export comes from our forests. No country can survive without 25% forest cover. But Punjab has 1% and is underwater now. Haryana has 1%. Delhi has 1%. Maharashtra has 4%. What? How are we going to survive? Our politicians average it out. What they do is they average out Punjab with the Northeast, which still has only about 35%. So the average will, but you cannot average out forests. You cannot. Each place has a local climate change. Each place is being affected. So therefore, tree planting has to be part of how we live. To give you one simple statistic, whether you are poor or rich, each one of you use 7 trees from the day you are born. The rich use it for paper, for furniture, for rayon, amongst other things, for pencils. The poor use it to burn, for making carts. But they both use the same. And if you are here, sitting here, and you are 40 years old, how many trees have you used? 280? Have you planted back what you have taken? How can we talk about climate change when you have not repaid your debt? So you need to now, every one of you needs to plant the trees that you owe. And then every single child, every time you have a child, 7 trees go into the ground every year. Tab jakarke we even might reach replacement levels. But from the amount that you replace, all the cattle that you are exporting for meat, they have eaten up your forests. In the Andhra forests, at any given time, there are 4.5 lakh buffaloes eating from inside. So how are you going to save the world? If you eat meat, if you export meat, if you increase, after all, what is milk? It is a cow on her way to slaughter. She is just stopping for a few years to give you your milk before you kill her. Today, Orissa is the largest illegal exporter of cattle to West Bengal and to Andhra Pradesh. How do you justify it? How do you justify it? One member of my group in Berhampur tried to stop a truck from carrying 50 cows in it to the Andhra Pradesh Al-Kabir slaughterhouse. She was locked up in jail by the DM for 6 months. How are you going to stop this? It means action. It can't be just good action, making village panchayats. It cannot be just that. It has to be strong, coordinated policy. You grow the maximum amount of rice. I was a rice eater and I love rice. But you have to now realize that everything that you eat is killing your world. दुनिया को बुखार हो चुका है और ये बुखार आपके खाने से हुआ है. So start taking steps. Sambad can change Orissa. You can start pointing out which policemen are in league with, because none of your vehicles can take animals out of the state without police involvement. Is that right or not? But none of us speak about it. None of us. My team intercepted, and I'm going to tell you this for the first time. My team intercepted an Indian oil tanker in Bihar. Why, we don't know, because nobody stops tankers. But they stopped it. And when they opened it, they found 100 cows inside the tanker, which were going to Bangladesh. Why? Because nobody stops tankers. So we found out that Indian Oil and all the oil companies give trucks out on contract. And when the contract is finished, of 15 years, they leave the tanker with the owner of the truck. He then sells the tanker to a mafia group in Odisha. And in Orissa, they fill it with cows and they send it to Bangladesh. I gave the information to the police here. Nothing happened. Nothing. You need to say, all right, we will not increase our meat milk levels. In fact, we will reduce it. And Sambad will carry out a campaign for the reduction. In any case, you cannot digest milk. You cannot digest meat. It is responsible for 80% of the diseases, including cancer, that you get. That is a scientific fact. It's not a political fact. So why not remove it? Now, teach ecological literacy. Not just, foo-foo. We tend to talk about just planting trees. We tend to talk about the simpler things. Children must be taught the connection between what they eat and how the climate behaves. A school lunch policy, a factory lunch policy, a newspaper lunch policy that serves plant-based food would turn every meal into a climate-saving session. Reduce livestock drastically. Stop eating and exporting meat. In any case, the government earns nothing because exporting meat is tax-free. Stop glorifying milk and dairy as cultural necessities. You cannot digest milk because not a single Indian, not one Indian has got the enzyme lactase in their bodies. So what are you eating or drinking lactose for? Nothing. Krishna pite the to hum piyenge. There is no evidence at all that Krishna drank milk. And if he drank milk, which there is no evidence for, do you do everything else that Krishna did? No. Every kilo of meat, every liter of milk comes with a climate cost that the world can no longer afford. Healthy, make your dairies, to begin with, make them healthy. Healthier animals emit less methane. But the only true solution is to reduce demand. Animal welfare is not charity. It is climate policy. You save your own life. Every chicken farm, every cattle shed, every slaughterhouse is not a place of animal suffering. It is a factory of climate destruction. If you are serious about fighting climate change, shift to plant-based diets. That is not optional. It is essential. 1/3 of the planet's land is now used for animal agriculture. That is land stolen from forests, wildlife, and your life. Every time you have a cyclone hit here, every time you are under floods, remember that people who ate meat and drank milk caused it. We have to teach our children that what we eat is the most important environmental decision we make 3 times a day. At the core of the problem is cruelty disguised as commerce. We have allowed factory farms, we have allowed slaughterhouses to treat animals as machines, squeezing them for meat, milk, and eggs without a thought for their suffering or for the consequences on our planet and on Orissa and on India. We thought that this cruelty would remain hidden behind walls. It has not. It has come back to us as floods, drought, fires, storms, the sinking of our islands. There is a law of karma in ecology as well. Violence against animals is violence against the earth. And violence against the earth is violence against each other. If there is one message I want you to take from Earth Again, it is this. Climate change begins from what is on your plate. Plant trees, of course. Use clean energy, of course. But the single act of survival today is to stop eating and drinking animal blood, animal meat. Methane is the fire that we are lighting under our own home. And unlike carbon dioxide, it can be reduced quickly. We hold the key in our hands, not our children, not our grandchildren. We don't even know if they will survive. You and I can stop climate change now. The choice is simple, compassion or catastrophe. So what is the way forward? It is not complex. It is not expensive. It does not need new inventions. It is plant trees, stop eating animals, choose compassion over cruelty. If we do this, methane will fall now. The atmosphere will cool again. Global warming will slow and then stop. The time for excuses is over. The time for actual change is now. Thank you.